What's going on, guys? It's Wyatt with Boaters List. I'm here with Bert Merritt, the director for the Florida Panhandle Billfishing Series. We are so excited to be here. This is going to be the hottest series of the summer. There's a lot of anglers excited for this, and we're going to be smack dab in the center of it, reporting live from each of these tournaments, covering the series as a whole. And thank you so much for having us here today, Bert.
Welcome. Great to be here. Love Boaters List, and I'm glad y'all are with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's get a little bit of information about you. So you're the tournament director, or the series director. You're also one of the tournament directors for the Bay Point Billfish Open. And just tell us a little bit about your directing career from tournaments, and then just as a fisherman as a whole.
Okay. Well, I grew up here in Pensacola, Florida, and I've worked the Gulf Coast from Biloxi all the way to Bay Point, and also down in Mexico. But I came up, I worked at a restaurant. The owner of the restaurant, Gordon Lincoln Hoker, fished, and he let some of the younger guys go fishing, and that's how we got into fishing. He was a member of the club. He actually started he was at the very beginning of the club, and he did all the dinners for the Wednesday night registration. Okay, so long story, but he brought us into bill fishing, and we fished a lot with him. And then along comes this guy, Bill McClellan. Bill McClellan is legendary guy from Pensacola. He was a promoter. He started Marlin Magazine. Okay, so I worked at the restaurant. Bill came out. He ran the marina, and then we started the Oyster Bar Blue Marlin Classic. And Bill started Marlin Magazine. So me and my buddy Jack's the weighmaster for Bay Point and Emerald Coast. And me and Jack actually stuffed envelopes and put labels on envelopes, okay, to mail out. For back then, it was Marlin International. Mm-hmm. And when they bought it, they made it Marlin Magazine. So we started right here on 2 blocks from here, Marlin Magazine. That's where it started. So that's how I got into it back then. And we fished a lot back then when I was younger. And anymore, I don't fish a whole lot, but some of my best fishing days was back then with Gordon and Bill.
Humble beginnings, it sounds. Yeah. Well, from some of those fishing days, do you have your best fishing story that you can share with us?
Well, back then, I mean, we had some killer days, like, in particular days where we would just stack tuna and wahoo, literally, and dolphin, literally, and just right out here at the nipple, right, 25 miles south of Pensacola, we would load up, and then the marlin, we were fishing for marlin, but we caught everything, and he owned a restaurant, and we came back and cleaned and all that. But really, one of the best fishing stories was not offshore fishing. It was inshore fishing after a hurricane when we caught like 2,000 pounds of grouper. But that was probably the funnest fishing ever. But my favorite fishing moment to this day is taking my son down to Cabo and fishing down there and him catching his marlin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. So getting back to the series, tell us a little bit about what makes this series different from other billfish series that are out there or other individual tournaments. Just give us the kind of structure and just list some of the tournaments that are going to be in the series as well.
Okay, so this the beauty of this series is it's 3 weeks, literally 3 weeks. So we're going to fish Pensacola, then Emerald Coast down at Sandestin, and then Bay Point and Panama City. So they literally fall back to back to back. That's a great thing about this series is it's going to be you're in for the 3 weeks or you're not. I mean, that's kind of how it's going to be. Even though we had the point structure, you can win one tournament with the right fish and win the whole thing. So you don't have to fish all 3, but if you do, you have a better chance, obviously. But the thing about this series is we're going to emphasize conservation, okay? Way more than we do now. So emphasis on release fish. We're going to count every single release through the video verification process. Mm-hmm. And that's really the big thing about this is not the big heavy weights, although they're going to count, and we are going to weigh fish, but it's going to be the conservation side.
That's a big piece of it, and we've gotten a lot of pushback when we post videos from tournaments from people that just don't seem to understand the value that these tournaments bring to the science of billfish. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and we're going to shed some light on why these events are actually really good for billfish as a whole. But back to the tournament a little bit. Tell us about some of the different divisions and categories for the prize pool.
Okay, so for the series, it's a winner take all series. So we're awarding points for release for the most part, and then the Wade Blue Marlin, and then the meat fish as well, the tuna, dolphin, wahoo. If you place in the tournaments, then you'll get points based on that. You get participation points for each tournament you fish, and then it's a combination of things, but mostly release fish. I mean, when you look at the overall prize, it's going to be the one that released the most blue marlin. I mean, if you release the most blue marlin, you're going to be in the running. So, but white marlin, sailfish as well. But it's going to be heaviest towards blue marlin.
A lot of opportunities.
Yeah. So Pensacola, Sandestin, Bay Point, we basically all fish the same waters. We may head a little bit further to the west, but we're all fishing out of the same water. So it's going to be a shootout from the get-go. It'll
be intense. It'll be a lot of fun. We cannot wait to cover each of the individual tournaments,
right,
but the series as a whole, to follow along with how all those captains are doing. It's going to be incredible.
Right.
So what a lot of people are wondering are, what are we looking at in terms of prize money?
Okay, so prize money for the series is going to be roughly $25,000 first place. So one of the things, we're not going to have entry fees, so no entry fees for participants, and it's not costing the tournaments anything. Okay, we've raised money through sponsorship to pay the prize money. So first place, $25,000. And the bigger thing is going to be the trophy that we're making. It's a perpetual trophy, beautiful trophy. I wish I had a picture of it. I wish we had a picture of it.
Well, if we can get a picture of it later on, we'll clip it into the interview.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely get some footage of it when it comes around, when we're there at the dock and it's presented. So that'll be really fun.
It's a custom build, and it's a beautiful trophy, and it's gonna have ability to put plaques on it for years. And that the object of this series is long term to have a competition on the Panhandle, regardless of the format of changes in the rules. Because one thing we're doing is we're following each tournament's rules. Mm-hmm. So the tournament that you're fishing that week, you follow their rules, and then we're abstracting the points from that. But the bottom line is, it's a bragging rights thing. This is more about bragging rights than it is prize money, and we are enforcing integrity and conservation, and that's what we want to move towards. In today's world, all the big money tournaments, and I've been at all of them, and I've seen it all, right? Mm-hmm. We need more integrity in each and every angler that's out there. We need the anglers growing up learning what it means to be a sportsman and to go sport fishing and to use the right tackle and the right techniques. Okay, that's what we need, and that's what this series is about.
Well, that's fantastic. And that was going to be my next question, was what was the future of the tournament? And to hear that you guys are focused on conservation, focused on a tournament that centers around integrity, it just seems like an event that the fishing world as a whole is going to benefit a lot from. The anglers that are going to participate in it, it's one that they can really be proud of. Going back to the conservation efforts, again, we've had a lot of pushback when we post pictures from tournaments where there's marlin hanging up. Could you share some numbers for us on the release categories from some of these tournaments? How many marlin are released? How many are actually brought to the dock? Because I think there's a misunderstanding from a lot of folks that these boats go out and each of them are bringing back a marlin and pulling one out of the water, when that's just really not the case.
Not the case whatsoever. Pensacola, Emerald Coast, Panama City, Bay Point, we all three tournaments are somewhere in the 90s. Okay, I'm going to shoot at 95 is a low number. Okay, but I can tell you for sure many years are at 97, 98, 99% of the fish the fish in the tournament are released. Okay, 1 to 2, sometimes 3% at the most. So are brought in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are releasing most fish, and then that is something that the public just does not understand. How many fish are released during a tournament is in the 90s, upper 90s.
Yeah, and you're rewarding anglers as well for the release categories and things of that nature. But even adding on to that, you don't have a lot of government programs that are studying billfish. Right. And a lot of the science comes from anglers when they participate in tagging programs, which a lot of these captains are locked in with. Yep. But in addition to that, when a marlin is harvested, there are tissue samples, there are scientific methods that are used on that fish that is harvested that can't be used on released fish. So you're getting a bunch of additional benefits.
That's correct.
Are there any certain programs that are going to be integrated into the Florida Panhandle Billfish series with harvested fish?
Well, I don't know about Pensacola, what they do, but at Bay Point, we're going to bring in, I don't even know if we're going to be able to do that this year or not, but we're going to bring in some scientists to set up. Dr. Jim Franks with Southern Miss, he brings in his people and they set up and they sample every single fish. They do all the research on that. Well, one of his guys, Jeremy, wants to come to Bay Point, and last year I was not able to do that. But I want to have Jeremy there and to do similar things. So one of the things, all three of the series tournaments are affiliated with the Billfish Foundation, and we're glad to be part of the Billfish Foundation and the research that they do and the information that they give us, and it's back and forth with them. And Peter and Ellen's special to Pensacola. Ellen always brags on Pensacola being where she caught her first fish. So that's it's just fantastic to have Pensacola. These three tournaments who are all affiliated with the Billfish Foundation coming together for a series. Really, really neat.
Absolutely. So for a lot of people that watch and push back when they see these marlin hanging at these events, this is the information that you need to know, that these events are actually really beneficial for these fish, the health of the fishery as a whole, and they need to happen because fishermen are the ones that are really kind of pushing that conservation forward.
Yeah, and all we're bringing is trophy fish, right? So and as far as blue marlin goes, it's going to be a trophy. It's going to be a trophy fish. They're going to make a mount out of it, and they're going to keep the bill and the tail. They're going to do those kind of things after the research is done because it's a trophy. Well, our minimum lengths are 110 to 112 depending on the tournament, whereas the federal law is 100 or 99, so 100 inches. So we set higher. We've always set higher inches. Okay, in Pensacola, any of these tournaments we do not kill a white marlin, okay, or sailfish. Although in other areas of the Gulf they do. Okay. So, we set our own rules around here. We've been ahead on conservation in this Panhandle area for a long time, and we intend to keep it that way.
So in the tournament, in terms of measuring the fish, short measurement, long measurement, if you don't mind breaking those down for those watching at home that might not know the difference.
Yeah, so when we measure in the tournament, what we put in our rules is 110 inches minimum. So that's from the fork of the tail to the lower jaw. Okay, that's the measurement. That's 110 from the fork of the tail to the lower jaw. So if you measured the tip of the bill to the tip of the tail, that 110-inch fish may be 140 inches, but for our regulations, it's the lower jaw fork length, what we call it.
So you're getting more of an accurate, true measurement on that. Yeah, so compounding on this conservation focus, I understand that there is a separate pool of prize money for release category? Correct.
And initially, most of these tournaments were built on weighed fish, okay? And we had a little bit of prize money or even a trophy for release. So you go out and you are tagging all your fish or whatever, and you come in and you were recognized for your release, but it was with a trophy or a small amount of cash. Now the prize money is equal, all right, or greater in some cases for releasing fish than it is for bringing fish in. So that's something we've gone from, say, a prize pool of $5,000 to $150,000 or $200,000 for first place release.
Wow.
Okay, and that's done through video review, through judges who are independent judges who review these videos and award points based on those releases. So that's a big change in the last 10 years, a huge change, really, probably 5 to 6 years. It's really ramped up more money, more competition on the release side.
Big change, and a change for the better.
Yes,
that's awesome. Sure. So what is the sentiment around those kinds of efforts from these boat owners, from the competitors, in terms of putting a little bit more emphasis on this release category and just the releasing of these fish in general?
Yeah, well, a lot of them have had to re-gear, right? They've had to bring a videographer on board, somebody whose job it is to take these videos, because each video has criteria in it that has to be met in order to get your points. So that it goes before the judge. He has to see who the angler is, has to see the equipment, has to see the fish, identify the species, has to see the release. All those things have to be identified. And so every boat who's really in this thing, competitive wise, have had to re-gear and ramp up so they can do the release. And they love it. I mean, it's competition, and that's what it's all about. They're out there fishing for competition. It doesn't matter to them if they're getting their points right there on the boat or if they're bringing the fish in.
So I think in terms of this release category, it's not just beneficial for conservation and the efforts as a whole, but probably beneficial for the crews as well.
Yeah. So the release side of the game is to safely release the fish unhurt. Don't bring him on the boat. Okay. Don't bring the fish on the boat. And we discourage that. It's against the rules. You decide when the fish is on the side, you're going to release it or you're going to bring it in. And that's one or the other. You're going to release it or bring it in. So the safety of the fish, getting the fish released healthy, and the safety of the crew is the protocols that go on the side of the boat right there.
So it sounds like a lot of really good stuff on the release category. The tournament's going to be incredible. Again, what are the dates for each of these tournaments in the series?
Okay, so this whole thing starts off in June. June 12th is the Pensacola International. The following week, which will be the 19th, will be ECBC at Sandestin. And then the following week on the 26th will be at Bay Point and Panama City. And we want to thank Miller Lite for coming on board and being our major sponsor, our presenting sponsor. We couldn't have done it without Miller Lite. Peden has come on board as well. And Boaters List, so happy to have y'all on board. And y'all have been a big sponsor so far of tournaments. And I've seen you at tournaments and want to work with y'all at tournaments. And I just think the idea of Boaters List and what y'all bring to the water, to the fishing community, to all boaters is, I think it's going to be a great, great thing. I've been looking at it, been watching it come. It's coming strong. And I really think the world of Boaters List. And I also want to thank Tim O'Brien for letting us use his boat here, the Panhandler here in Pensacola, Florida. Tim is a competitor. He's in every tournament, and we really enjoy that. And so we really want to thank him. It's going to be a great thing to see all these different the boats from the Panhandle come together just specifically for this series. I think we're going to see more of that than people realize.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be incredible action at all three of these tournaments and for the series as a whole. We're so excited to be on the dock each time, covering those weigh-ins live and just getting the results out there. We are so excited to be covering this series. Thank you so much
for
having me on today.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you at the tournament.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And as always, for any of your boating needs, be sure to check out boaterslist.com to get connected with the best service providers in your area. Whether you're fishing a tournament and you need some fuel or bait, or you're just trying to get out on the water with your family and you might need a quick repair here or there, check out Boaters List to get connected with service providers in your area that can get you out on the water fast with amazing service.
Boaters List.